Incredible moment revealed. 20 bikers surround single mother as thugs harass her at gas station. The gas station loomed before Sarah like the sagging weight of her exhaustion. The flickering neon light not enough to chase away the tired shadows clinging to her. Fresh from the grind of a 12-hour shift at the diner, she tugged her 2 kids along, hoping to refuel her old car and keep their little world intact. Her heart, while weary, pulsed with fierce resolve. The quiet evening, however, turned sinister when a raucous group of local thugs swaggered in, their laughter puncturing the silence like bullets. "Look at this loser," one of them shouted, his voice dripping with disdain. "Bet she can't even afford a real car." Sarah's heart sank. She felt their crude insults, each one aimed at her soul, a relentless reminder of the struggles she'd faced as a single mother. She resisted the urge to flee, to disappear into the night. She reminded herself that resilience was her only armor. Just as fear began to creep in, the low rumble of motorcycles filled the air. 20 bikers rumbled onto the scene, a thunderous wave of leather and metal that stood in stark contrast to the thugs' sneers. The tension in the air thickened as the bikers surveyed the situation with acute awareness. Tales of how they upheld principles of respect and community circulated through the town. Leading the pack was Jake, a veteran whose past battles echoed the spirit in Sarah's eyes. He stepped forward, his jaw tight. "You think it's funny to pick on a woman trying to provide for her kids?" The thugs, sensing the surge of unity from the bikers, faltered. Their bravado wavered, and they began to retreat. Once they were gone, the atmosphere shifted. Bikers gathered around Sarah, expressing concern, hands extended in camaraderie. Their presence offered her something she didn't know she needed: support. "Let us check that engine," one said, and waved over his brothers. Laughter erupted, mingled with the sound of tools against metal as they worked to fix her car, a symbolic act of friendship in a world that had felt so isolating. In that moment, under the glow of the old gas station lights, hope flickered back to life. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she stood there, moved by the biker's kindness, Don stepped forward. He pulled off his helmet, his face softening with sincerity. "I'm a local businessman," he said, voice steady. "I've seen how hard you work. Let me help you get back on your feet." The weight of his offer hung in the air, a rare chance to break free from the confines of her daily struggles. In that moment, her heart soared, gravity giving way to possibility. Yet a familiar shadow lurked behind her gratitude: the fear of failure, the daunting path that lay ahead. Will she seize this chance, or will the demons of her past pull her back into despair? As she looked around at the faces now surrounding her, she realized this community, once a distant echo, was standing beside her now. The battle may not be over, but with their support, perhaps she could finally begin to turn the tide. Sarah took a deep breath, the air tinged with gasoline and the lingering scent of burnt rubber from the bikers. It felt surreal, like a dream that could dissipate with the morning light. Don's gentle gaze anchored her, and she found herself nodding slowly. "Thank you," she managed, her voice trembling as she spoke. "I really don't know what to say." "Just say yes," Jake chimed in from the side, his arms crossed over his broad chest. His presence radiated assurance. "You've been through a lot, and it's time to take a step forward. You deserve it." The warmth of their support enveloped her. Her 2 kids, Lily and Max, were nestled against her sides, looking up wide-eyed at the scene unfolding. In their innocence, Sarah saw a flicker of hope mirrored back to her. For the first time in what felt like forever, the heavy weight of her struggle began to lift. But as that promise of support settled in, another tide of anxiety washed over her. "But what if I don't know how to move forward? What if I fail?" The words escaped her lips before she could catch them, a whisper of vulnerability breaking through the confidence she'd tried to muster. The bikers exchanged looks, and finally, one of them, a woman named Tara, knelt down beside Lily. "Hey there, sweetheart," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "Everybody has doubts. It's part of being human. What matters is how you face them. Together, we can find a way. Their faces glistened with understanding, each line telling a story of battles fought and wounds healed. Sarah felt their sincerity seep deep into her bones. She was no longer just a single mother fighting in silence. She was part of something larger, a community willing to lift her from the shadows. As the bikers worked, laughter rippled through the air, mingling with the clanking of tools and the dull roar of the nearby highway. It was a strangely beautiful symphony, the sound of unity. Don gestured toward the nearby diner where Sarah worked, a block away. How about we meet there tomorrow? I'll help you strategize a plan. It's time for your story to change. Do you really think I can? Sarah asked, her heart fluttering with a blend of hope and disbelief. Absolutely, he replied, his smile infectious. We've got your back. You take care of your kids, and we'll take care of the rest. Trust us. The thought of stepping into the diner's cramped, bustling atmosphere with an entirely new mindset felt daunting yet exhilarating. Maybe all the years of hardship would translate into something meaningful. Maybe she could finally turn the page. Just then, Max tugged at her sleeve, his innocent smile grounding her. Mommy, can we go with them? They're fun. His exuberance was like a balm to her troubled soul. Sarah laughed for the first time that evening, the sound bright and true, chasing away the remnants of fear. I think they'd love that. The bikers cheered, lifting Max into the air, blending joy and laughter into the cool night air. She could see flickers of change in their eyes, as they embraced her kids like family. But as the evening wore on and the repairs finished, a nagging worry settled deep in Sarah's stomach. What happens when the sun rises? What if this wave of support fades away, and she's left standing alone again, staring at an uncertain future? That thought loomed like an ominous cloud threatening to drown out the starlight. Tomorrow felt like a crossroads, a defining moment in a journey she was just starting to embrace. As she watched the bikers start to rev up their engines, she knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy. Yet, standing with newfound allies beside her, she felt the first stirrings of courage. Tomorrow would come, and with it, the chance to reshape her life. But would she truly have the strength to grasp it? Would she be able to let go of her doubts and seize the future waiting at her doorstep? The engine roared, echoing her heartbeat as she stared into the horizon, the dawn of possibility just beyond reach. The dawn broke softly, spilling golden light over the horizon, touching everything with warmth. Sarah's heart raced as she stirred awake, the events of last night flooding back. She could hardly believe the bikers had rallied around her with such open arms. Lily and Max were already up, their laughter a sweet melody that filled the air around her. She glanced out the window, watching as the world came alive outside. Birds chirped, and the scent of fresh coffee drifted from the kitchen, a comfort that felt familiar yet foreign after the chaos of recent months. As she poured herself a cup, her thoughts raced back to the promise of the diner. Could she really breathe new life into her story? Mommy, can we eat breakfast quickly? I want to see the bikers. Max squealed, bouncing around the kitchen. That simple joy sliced through her lingering doubts, reminding Sarah of the innocence of her children and their unwavering belief in her strength. As they settled down for cereal, Sarah couldn't help but noticed the way her kids' eyes sparkled with excitement. It was infectious. She leaned closer, her heart swelling with love. Okay, we'll get ready soon. But first, we have to eat like champions, right? Lily tilted her head, her brows slightly furrowed. Mom, do you think they're really going to help us? The question, innocent as it was, hung heavy in the air. Sarah set her spoon down, her mind racing again. I hope so, sweetheart. We're going to find out today. After breakfast, they hurriedly dressed and made their way toward the diner. She could see the familiar neon sign glowing in the distance, but today it felt different. Today wasn't about serving coffee and pie. It was about stepping into a new chapter, one that demanded courage over fear. As they turned the corner, her heart pounded in her chest. There, parked in front of the diner, were the bikers like a lion's pride guarding its territory. Don leaned against his bike, a huge grin spreading across his face as he spotted her approaching. There's the woman of the hour, he called out, drawing attention from the rest. The warm welcome wrapped around her like a hug, softening the edges of her anxiety. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped forward with her children. Hey, everyone, she said, trying to match their energy. Thanks for being here. Always, Jake replied, his demeanor steadfast. We're ready to help you start this new journey. As they settled into a booth, Sarah felt the dangerous edge of uncertainty creep in again. What if I mess up the plan? What if I can't do this? Each word felt like pulling at an unraveling thread. Don leaned in, his tone serious but full of warmth. You won, T. We believe in you. And if you trip up, it's okay. We'll help you get back on your feet. Choking back emotions, Sarah felt an inkling of relief. She looked at her kids, still filled with childlike wonder, and realized she wanted to show them a life bright from potential. The chatter faded into background noise as the bikers began to share their own stories of overcoming fear and doubt. Each tale echoed her struggles, yet unveiled the resilience that her heart so desperately craved. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number, cutting through the warmth of the moment. With trembling hands, she opened it. The screen displayed a frightening image of her ex, accompanied by a chilling message. You can't run forever, Sarah. Panic surged within her, threatening to drown the hope that had just begun to take root. The walls of the diner felt like they were closing in, and in that moment, she realized her past was not just a memory, it was a shadow haunting her every step. But as the bikers continued to share their stories, Sarah remembered the strength being forged in that small booth. Could she truly embrace change with this looming threat nearby? Her heart raced anew, pushing her to realize she wasn't alone anymore. Would facing her fear head-on bring her the freedom she sought, or would it shatter the fragile sense of safety she found with these new friends? As she looked around at the smiling faces, Sarah felt determination flood her heart. But would she find the bravery to fight against the darkness threatening to engulf her? She clenched her phone in hand, the weight of the message grounding her in reality as they moved to start their day. This was not just about her anymore. It was about protection, family, and stepping into the light of a new dawn, no matter what it might bring. Sarah felt the heaviness of the message still clutched in her hand, the words stinging at the back of her mind. As laughter swirled around her, she decided to push it down for now. It was time to work. This wasn't just about healing. It was about doing something real and meaningful for her children. All right, everyone, she called out, hoping to weave together the threads of excitement and seriousness. Let us get our hands dirty. The bikers rallied around her, ready to jump into action. They began brainstorming ideas to revamp the diner, brainstorming changes that could attract locals and travelers alike. Sarah lit up at the sound of their passion. She felt part of something bigger than herself, a community ready to embrace her new journey. As they moved from idea to idea, painting faded walls and rewriting menus, Sarah couldn't shake the unease creeping over her. Every laugh echoed a reminder of the threat looming just beyond her newfound happiness. But the more she worked with the bikers, the dimmer those shadows became. Lily and Max played near a table, crafting a colorful sign that read "Welcome to Sarah S." in bold chalk lettering. It made Sarah smile. It was a simple gesture, yet profound, like a symbol of hope they were all building together. She approached them, kneeling down to be at their level. Looks amazing, you two, Sarah said, noticing how their creativity was bringing light into the room. What do you think we should offer as our special today? Chocolate milkshakes, Max exclaimed, bouncing on his toes. Or maybe, Lily chimed in, peanut butter pancakes. Everyone loves pancakes. The thought warmed Sarah's heart. Simple things seemed to bring so much joy, and for the first time in a long time, she felt the weight on her shoulders lighten just a bit. But as they fleshed out their ideas, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a missed call from an unknown number, followed by another chilling text. You can run, but I'll find you. My time is coming. Her stomach twisted. Is everything okay, Mom? Lily asked, her eyes narrowing with concern. Yeah, everything is fine, sweetheart, Sarah replied, forcing a smile. But her heart raced, and she could feel beads of sweat forming on her brow. Just then, Don walked over, sensing her unsteady mood. You all right? He asked, leaning closer, his voice low. She hesitated, unsure how to explain the growing dread without worrying her kids. Instead, she swallowed hard. It's nothing. Just work stuff. But as she looked into his steady green eyes, she felt an undeniable urge to trust him. I got a message from my past. Don's demeanor shifted, concern flaring in his gaze. You don't have to face this alone, Sarah. We've got your back. The sincerity in his voice filled her with warmth, but panic roared back to life in her chest. Could she really lean on them? Would they still stand with her if the shadows of her past came knocking? The sound of laughter and the clatter of tools filled the diner, a reminder that signs of life were emerging all around her. This place was slowly transforming into something beautiful, but the thought of an impending storm loomed ominously. As they painted and built, Sarah felt an irrational hope rise within her. Maybe the darkness wouldn't swallow her whole if she kept pushing forward. Maybe, just maybe, these open-hearted bikers could become her shield. But when the sun dipped low in the sky, painting vivid streaks of orange and red, Sarah felt a shiver. The real test was yet to come. They were all rallied around her now. But would they still be when her past came crashing back into her life? The question hung heavily in the air as the diner came alive with laughter and conversation. But soon, it would be time to confront the truth. Would she be able to hold on to her newfound hope when it all came crashing down? Darkness fell over the diner as twilight settled in. The vibrant colors of the sunset painted an illusion of serenity, but inside, Sarah's heart churned. The buzzing of her phone cut through the laughter, the vibrations echoing her anxiety. She stared at the screen, the words of the message taunting her like a ghost. Maybe I should just switch it off, she whispered to herself. But she hesitated. What if it was someone from the diner? They were depending on her. She had a responsibility not only to her children, but to this community that was taking her in. Sarah, can you come help us with this? One of the bikers called, waving her over to the makeshift stage they were constructing in the corner. The pedal of dread revolved inside her, but she pushed it down once more. Coming, she replied, willing away the knot in her stomach. As she joined the others, the atmosphere brightened. Laughter bounced off the walls, filling the diner with a sense of belonging. They worked hard, hammering and painting, breathing new life into a place that had seen better days. Sarah placed her hands on her hips, surveying the work. This is really coming together. You all are amazing. We're just getting started, Sarah. A burly biker named Mike chuckled. Wait till we set up the jukebox. You're going to want to dance. Her smile faltered momentarily. Dance. Was that really something she could do now? She had learned to embrace stillness, to guard her heart in the quiet. But a faint flicker of the old Sarah ignited within her. Yeah, maybe let us see how the kids feel about it. Just then, Don approached, sweat glistening on his brow. You good? You seem a little off tonight. An urge to confess surfaced, but she held back. Just worried about getting everything ready for tomorrow. Well, if anything is bothering you, just let it out. I'm here. His unwavering gaze made her heart race. It felt like opening a door she'd locked long ago. I appreciate that, she said softly. I just wish I could really let go of the past. Sometimes the past doesn't want to let go, though, he said, his brow slightly furrowed, but running from it won't help. Suddenly, laughter shattered the moment as Lily and Max burst into the room, their faces painted with the kind of joy that reminded Sarah of things long forgotten. Mom, look, Max shouted, holding up their newly crafted sign. Sarah beamed. That's incredible. You two are superstars. Yet even in this moment of joy, shadows lurked at the fringes of her mind. The darkness she was fighting felt unyielding. She plastered on a smile, embracing the warmth of their enthusiasm. But as the night wore on, the unease returned. The air outside turned cold, almost biting. Sarah felt the same shiver that had plagued her earlier. Let us call it a night, guys. We've got plenty to do tomorrow. Sarah clapped her hands, her voice high and cheerful. The support she felt around her filled her, but anxiety still flickered at the corners of her thoughts. As everyone packed up, she slipped outside for a breath of fresh air. The cool breeze danced around her, but the moment was short-lived. Just then, she noticed a van parked unusually nearby, its engine idling softly. Adrenaline shot through her veins, and she felt that chilling message resonate in her mind. In that instant, uncertainty gripped her as a group of men stepped out from the shadows, their silhouettes looming. Panic washed over Sarah. She fumbled for her phone, her heart racing. Mom. Lily's voice cut through the night. Are you okay? Stay back, Sarah shouted, protective instinct taking over. As the confrontation unfolded, a familiar roar of engine noise broke through the stillness. It was the bikers, pulling into the lot. Would they be enough to defend her when the shadows of her past collided with her hope? The truth was now lurking to be revealed. Sarah's heart raced as she took a step back, her breath quickening in her chest. The shadows loomed closer, their intentions unknown. The hum of the idle van became a menacing backdrop to the tension that hung in the air. She could feel Lily and Max's small hands clutching the hem of her shirt, their innocence anchoring her even as fear threatened to pull her under. "Hey, what is going on here?" Don's voice boomed as he stepped between her and the approaching figures, his frame dense with resolve. The bikers, roaring into the parking lot, skidded to a halt. Their presence lit a flicker of hope in her heart. One of the men at the front, a hard-faced figure dressed in a leather jacket, snapped his head toward Don. "Just a little chat with your friend here. No need to get involved, unless you want this to get ugly." The biker crew fanned out, surrounding Sarah and her children, yet they weren't defensive. Their body language shifted, readying themselves for conflict, but also to protect. "Sarah, get the kids inside," Don commanded, his eyes laser-focused on the intruders. Automatically, she turned to usher Lily and Max back toward the diner. Gritting her teeth, she watched the scene unfold while her feet remained planted, a deep-rooted need to protect her children anchoring her decision. As she turned to step back, she caught a glimpse of Mike's fists clenched at his sides. "Stay away from her. You picked the wrong place, fellas," he growled. The wariness in his voice was palpable. "Just a misunderstanding," the hard-faced man replied, contempt dripping from each word. "Nothing to worry about, unless she wants to keep digging through her past." The statement sliced through Sarah's heart, leaving a bitter taste of fear and unresolved issues. What did he know? Enough. Don took a step forward, each word laced with authority. "You're not welcome here. Leave now." The moment teetered on a knife edge, and Sarah held her breath, willing time to stop. She felt the heat of feelings erupting inside her, a mix of gratitude for the bikers and dread over what secrets from her past were surfacing. With a grunt, the hard-faced man stared Don down, his smirk dropping like a curtain. "You ride with these clowns, you're only asking for trouble. Get lost." Don's tone hardened, steel lining his voice. The tension escalated as the men exchanged heavy glances, weighing options. From her angle, everything felt surreal. She watched, holding on to her children, every protective instinct flaring. These men were threatening everything she had tried to leave behind. Finally, with a reluctant shuffle, the hard-faced man gestured to his crew. "Fine. Enjoy your little party. But keep an eye out, shadows have a way of creeping back." The group turned, melting back into the night as abruptly as they had arrived, taking the chill of the air with them. But Sarah could still feel the icy grip of worry wrapping around her heart. "Are you okay, Mom?" Max's voice was small, breaking the silence that hung afterward. She bent down, wrapping her arms around both her children, pulling them close. "I'm good, sweetie. Just a little scared," she admitted, voice trembling slightly. Don stepped closer, concern etched in his features. "You sure they're gone? You know you can call the cops, right?" "I can handle myself," she replied firmly, surprised at her own strength. "But thank you, really." He offered a nod, yet she saw the worry lingering in his eyes. As everyone gathered back at the diner, she felt a shift within her, a blend of fear and resolve. Maybe the past wouldn't keep her captive forever. Maybe there was a way to break free. But as she began to share the events with the others, a figure lingered at the edge of the light. One of the men had circled back, watching silently, waiting for an opening. Would he strike again? The shadows had returned, and with them came a creeping dread that felt all too familiar. What would she do when they reached out once more? Sarah's pulse quickened again when she noticed the figure lingering just outside the faint glow of the diner's neon lights. It was like a rising tide of panic, creeping closer as her instincts screamed for her to act. The door creaked as she pushed it open, her protective embrace around Lily and Max tightening. They hadn't seen the man, but she could feel their little bodies tense up, sensing her anxiety dripping into the atmosphere. "Stay close to me," she whispered, her voice barely steady. They complied, golden hair glistening in the dim light, eyes wide with uncertainty. "Sarah." Mike rushed over, breathless and flushed. What was that all about? She wanted to reassure him, but words felt trapped in her throat, caught between fright and the need to shield her children. "Just some trouble. Nothing we can't handle." She forced a smile, But it didn't reach her eyes. Dawn stood nearby, scanning the parking lot like a hawk. If that guy comes back, maybe we should call the cops, Mike suggested, glancing nervously back toward the empty shadows. They can't get away with this. Sarah shook her head. I don't want the kids involved in that. Her voice was firm, if shaky. Besides, they said it was a misunderstanding. The irony burned her, as if that could erase years of buried secrets. I don't care, Mike argued, his eyes flashing with indignation. You have to protect them. Before she could respond, the figure emerged fully from the shadows, stepping into the light, and the breath caught in her throat. It was the same hard-faced biker, his leather jacket reflecting the glow of the diner's sign. He looked older up close, with deep lines etched into his skin, yet his presence still exuded a menacing authority. Thought I'd find you here, he said, the corners of his mouth twitching in a mockery of a smile. Her heart plummeted. What do you want? She managed, keeping herself between the man and her kids. You heard what I said earlier, he replied, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial tone. There are things about your past that don't just go away. Stay away from her, Dawn shouted, stepping forward. He was a solid wall of defense, his fists clenched and ready. Relax, tough guy, the biker said, rolling his eyes. I'm not here for a fight. Just wanted to make sure she's aware she's being watched. His words dripped with a sickly sweet malice. Get out of here, Sarah warned, though each word felt like a thin thread clinging to hope. You don't know anything about me. Oh, but I do. He stepped closer, invading her space, the tension crackling around them like static. You have friends in low places, and they don't appreciate you trying to disappear. Max tugged on her sleeve, his small voice breaking through. Mom, I want to go home. Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? The biker replied, voice low, chilling her to the bone. You can't run from your past. It'll always find you. Anger surged through Sarah. She would not let him paint her as helpless. You don't know who I am now. I'm not that person anymore. Maybe. He shrugged, stepping back, the invitation to leave hanging heavy in the air. But the past doesn't die easily. Keep your eyes open, sweetheart. With that, he melted back into the shadows, leaving behind a hollow echo of fear that rattled through her. The diner felt claustrophobic now, a cage of uncertainty closing in. Are you okay? Dawn asked, concern lining his features. Sarah took a deep breath, glancing at Max and Lily, who were visibly shaken. I can't let them take control. I want tea. But as the door swung closed behind the biker, she couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come. She had buried the past deep, but now it had clawed its way back to the surface. What kind of danger was lurking just outside the diner, waiting for her to falter? The weight of the moment settled heavily on Sarah's shoulders as her thoughts raced. The children, they were her priority. She could feel their little hearts beating erratically, their innocence cracking under the strain of fear. Lily's hand slipped into hers, small and trembling, and the warmth of it was a steady reminder of what she must protect. Mom, can we go home? Max's voice broke through her frantic thoughts again, and she nodded resolutely, even though uncertainty gnawed at her. Just a little longer, sweetie. I promise, she said, trying to infuse her voice with a strength she didn't fully feel. Mike, still flushed and tense, paced a few steps toward the diner. We can't just stand here. This isn't over. His jaw tightened as he glanced toward the dimly lit shadows, scanning for any sign of the biker. Dawn placed a hand on Mike's shoulder, steadying him. Let us keep calm. We'll get Sarah and the kids home safely. Their safety is more important than a fight. Easy to say when you aren't the one being threatened, Mike shot back, but there was a flicker of understanding in his eyes. Sarah sighed, feeling the world closing in. The chilly air around them felt ominous, as if it were carrying whispers of unresolved tensions. What had she done to bring this upon them? The need for secrecy had become an unwelcome shadow, and she no longer knew how to escape from it. Can we please just go? Lily asked, her blue eyes wide as she clutched Sarah's arm tightly. The girl's soft plea pierced through Sarah's swirling thoughts, propelling urgency into her movements. Absolutely, she replied, her voice firm, as she motioned for the kids to follow her. They stepped forward, but the dread of leaving the safety of the light behind loomed. She took a deep breath and led them toward her car. Just as they reached the vehicle, the hairs on the back of her neck stood up. There, stretched across the entrance to the diner parking lot, was a group of bikers. 20 of them, all clad in leather and darkness, like a wall formed from her past. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears as she turned to Mike and Don. "Do you see that?" "Yeah," Don acknowledged, gritting his teeth, ready to protect them. His stance shifted as intimidation radiated from the gathered crowd. "Just keep moving, stay together," Sarah instructed, her instinct kicking in. They were just a few steps from the car, but every inch felt monumental. As they approached, the bikers parted slightly, their laughter ringing out like a warning bell. One of them, a huge man with a chipped tooth and a tattoo curling over his neck, stepped forward. "Well, if it isn't the woman trying to forget. Let us just go," she urged, pushing Lily and Max behind her, her heart pounding against her ribs. The man chuckled, a sound devoid of kindness. "But we haven't had the chance for a proper reunion. We've missed you, Sarah. How about we catch up?" Fear coursed through her body. None of this was good. She had to find a way out. "You don't have to do this," she tried, her voice trembling as she fought to keep it steady. The gang's laughter echoed more menacingly, suffocating her resolve. The memories of her past clawed through her like talons, threatening to drag her back. "Come on, don't run scared. You're family now," he taunted, taking a step closer. The unsettling sense of entrapment loomed like a storm cloud as Sarah felt her heart drop. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. The stakes had risen. She had to protect her children, no matter the cost. Suddenly, someone shouted from the edge of the crowd. "What are you doing? You're scaring the kids." All heads turned, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The last person she expected stood there, arching an eyebrow, an unexpected ally in the midst of chaos. Would help arrive in time to shield her from the encroaching shadows? The newcomer stepped forward, a glimmer of confidence cutting through the thick tension. Sarah's heart raced, a fragile hope flickering alive within her. She recognized the figure instantly. It was Jack, her childhood friend, the last person she expected to see at such a moment. "Jack," she breathed, disbelief washing over her. "What are you doing here?" He locked eyes with her, determination radiating from his stance. "I was passing through when I saw you. I knew you'd be in trouble. Stay close to me." The bikers shifted, eyeing Jack warily. It was as if they sensed his presence altered the balance of power. "Aren't you getting a bit too friendly with a ghost from the past?" The huge man sneered, his hand twitching as if itching for trouble. Jack stepped further into the light, deliberately positioning himself between Sarah and the bikers. "You really don't want to do this," he warned, voice steady but low enough not to draw unnecessary attention. Fear gripped Sarah again, coiling tight within her. Was Jack's bravery foolhardy? Looking at the gang's numbers, she thought of the plans she'd made for her children, the visions of peaceful evenings and quiet days. Now they felt impossibly far away. "Mom, I want to go home," Max whimpered, tugging at her shirt. Lily clung tightly to Sarah's leg, eyes popping with fright. The sound of laughter and harsh words wrapped around them, filling the air with an ominous energy. "Stay close, guys," Sarah whispered, overriding her own fear with a protective instinct. She wanted so badly to shield them from the unfolding chaos. "Looks like the party just got started," the huge man smirked, taking a step toward Jack. "Does he really think he can save you? You need to learn you can't escape your past." Jack's eyes narrowed. "And you can't frighten me into believing your lies." Sarah's no longer part of this. The tension snapped as some bikers began to move, shuffling forward, eager for a confrontation. Sarah clenched her fists, her heart hammering loudly in her ears. What was happening? Why were they doing this? "Simon, kids," Jack urged, gesturing them to stay close. "We need to get out of here. Move to the car. I'll be right behind you." "Not so fast," one of the bikers shouted, stepping into their path like a shadow made of malice. He blocked their way, smirking, relishing in the fear he caused. Sarah felt a surge of anger, a protective mother rising within her. "You don't scare me," she shouted, her voice booming louder than she thought she could manage. "I'm not scared of you, or your pathetic games." Jack shot her a surprised look, but there was pride in his eyes too. The bikers hesitated, caught off guard by her defiance. Maybe she had steeled herself enough to stand firm against her shadows. "Step aside," Jack demanded, tension crackling in the air. "You don't want this to escalate." "Yeah? What are you gonna do? Call the cops?" The huge biker laughed, but his bravado wavered slightly. Something shifted in Sarah. This wasn't just about her past or her mistakes anymore. This was about her family. They'd made it through struggles before, and they could do it again. "Mom," Lily squeaked, her voice a mix of fear and bravery as she reached for Sarah's hand. "I'm not scared, if you're not." In that moment, strength surged through Sarah, ignited by her children. She could face the past for them. "Let us get out of here," she urged, taking Lily's hand and holding Max's tightly. They moved forward, pressing through the small window made by Jack, ready to burst free. The bikers reared back, surprised at their sudden movement. But in the chaos, a shout broke through the air. "Get them!" Panic surged again, and adrenaline kicked in. They were still too close to the danger, but perhaps they could outrun it as they scrambled toward the car, hearts racing, anxieties bubbling up. Could they escape? Would this new thread of courage be enough to keep them safe, or was the nightmare only beginning? As Sarah, Jack, and the kids dashed toward the car, chaos erupted around them. The bikers surged forward, their laughter morphing into menacing taunts, but Sarah's instincts kicked into high gear. Just like that moment in the gas station when the bikers had rallied around her, now it was time to become the warrior she had unknowingly trained to be. "Faster," Jack urged, his voice steady yet urgent. Sarah clutched her children closer, feeling the warmth of their small bodies igniting courage within her. "Whatever happens, don't look back," she whispered as they reached the car. Trembling hands fumbled for the door handle. The sound of revving engines filled the air, as if the bikers were trying to chase the fear from her heart. But Sarah felt something different inside her now, a fortitude born from the love she had for her children and the support of those new friends she had made. "Get in," she shouted, her voice cutting through the tension. Jack hopped into the driver's seat beside her. The kids scrambled into the back, excitement laced with fear. "Just hold on tight," she yelled, gripping the steering wheel with white-knuckled determination. With a roar, she turned the key. The engine fired to life, powerful and demanding. It felt like the universe was giving her one last chance to break free. Before she could second-guess herself, she slammed the gear into drive and shot forward, gravel flying beneath the tires. Every fiber of her being pushed against the thought that they could get caught. But then came the sound of bike engine roaring to life behind them. "Jack!" she shouted, her voice thick with urgency. "We need to lose them." "I can help with that," he replied, confidence tightening his features. "Stay steady." She leaned into the acceleration, the world blurring around them, adrenaline rushing through her veins. The diner and the past faded as they tore through the streets under the glow of streetlights. Just when panic threatened to engulf her again, she heard something unexpected, a chorus of motorcycle engines revving behind them. But not just any engines. The biker crew from last night had joined the chase, coming to her defense once more. "Stay close." Jack turned as vehicles surrounded them, embodying a hint of protective blockades, as if the bikers were willing to deflect the thug's surveillance. "We're almost home," she urged, but doubt still gnawed at her. What if her past was relentless? What if those shadows lingered no matter how fast she ran? She stole a sideways glance at Jack, who nodded encouragingly, as if sensing the storm of her doubts. "I've got you," he said simply, and it made all the difference. As they sped through the back roads of the town, the bikers flanked them like a shield, making it feel like the fight was not just hers anymore. They surged onward, a whirlwind of rumbling engines and fierce protectiveness. Freedom was finally within reach. When she caught sight of her own street, relief washed over her, making her heart surge with hope. "There, just a little further," she shouted, exhilaration coating her every word. With one final, breathtaking push, they turned onto her street. The headlights illuminated their modest home, but it felt like a castle now. They skidded to a stop, and Sarah barely took a breath before leaping out of the car, racing for the door with her kids tightly in tow. The moment they stepped inside, an extraordinary warmth enveloped them. They were safe, at least for now. Jack followed behind, closing the door with a definitive thud that echoed her heartbeat. "Is it over?" Lily's voice trembled, a fragile thread of hope weaving through the air. "It's over," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with a love that felt like an unbreakable bond. For tonight, at least. But as they gathered around the small kitchen table, that feeling of togetherness, fortified by genuine laughter and shared stories lingering in the air, ignited her heart. The shadows were still there, but they no longer felt overwhelming. Tomorrow would come with more challenges, yes, but for tonight, they had found their refuge. It was time to face the morning with newfound hope together. One of the bikers had sent a text. "We stand together. You never have to face this alone," it read, sparking joy in her heart. With glimmers of the past aside, she embraced her children tightly, her eyes shining with fierce resolve. Together was where they would forge their future, not behind the walls of her past, but in the expansive possibilities of their new beginning. As they cozied up together, uncertainty still loomed gently over them. But as long as they had each other, maybe they could cultivate that warmth into something beautiful, something lasting. This was the first day of the rest of their lives. And she wasn't just ready, she was empowered. The dawn of tomorrow beckoned, holding the promise of brighter days ahead. It's time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. You need to subscribe now, it only takes one click. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It really makes a difference. Your support matters. Comment down below your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear your thoughts. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your friends deserve to feel this hope too.